This morning on Juice and Java, we talk about all the latest on Brexit and the newest information on the allegations against Joe Biden.
Plus, we have Landon Wexler in studio to talk Cuse Can, and one of our correspondents was in Lockerbie, Scotland. You don't want to miss it. And guess what? You don't have to, because Juice and Java starts right now. Good morning, and thanks for starting your morning with us. I'm Noah Eagle.
And I'm Rebekah Castor. Let's kick things off with your morning brew, all your headlines from this week. Newhouse Dean Lorraine Branham died earlier this week. She served as not just a dean, but a friend to students at Syracuse University in her 11 years at Newhouse.
She really pulled us into the 21st century in many different ways, technologically, academically, diversity of students and faculty and staff. And, you know, she was an innovator, and there's no going back.
Syracuse Mets are looking forward to a great season after kicking it off this Tuesday. They'll be playing the Pawtucket Red Sox today in a doubleheader after their game yesterday was postponed due to snow.
And I would say to anybody out there, too, the absolute worst way to pay back Nipsey's loss, somebody we lost to the hands of violence, is with more violence. And we know that there is much more love than hate, much more love than violence out there. And we intend to give space for people to grieve.
Fans of Nipsey Hussle are paying their respects to the rapper after he was shot and killed on Sunday. A vigil held for the rapper turned into a riot on Monday, resulting in one person being stabbed and several others hurt.
And Trout may not be out of the woods just yet. Challengers are saying that William Barr's summary of the Mueller report did not reveal the full picture. Speaker of the House Pelosi stands firm that it will be released.
Release the Mueller report as soon as possible. And let me just say, the Mueller report will be released.
The presidential race just got a new challenger. Ohio Representative Tim Ryan announced Thursday that he is entering the race as a Democratic candidate.
This has been your Morning Brew.
And now let's delve deeper into this week's stories with the squeeze. The future of Brexit is uncertain once again. British Prime Minister Theresa May is asking for another extension to the country's exit timeline. If approved, May's deadline will be pushed back from April 12th all the way to June 30th. This is the second time May has asked for an extension, and it comes after she offered to resign in exchange for agreeing to pass her previous deal. Talks between the government and the Labour Party are currently taking place in an attempt to come up with a compromise to present to the House of Commons. However, changes have yet to be made to May's original deal.
Look, to me, there comes a time where you just have to say, all right, let's put our differences aside and come up with a deal.
Exactly.
That's now. This time is now. If it hasn't happened by now, I feel like it's just not going to happen in general.
Yes, and it needs to happen because Britain can't just ignore all the problems that they've been having over the past few years, and so a decision needs to be made. And also the whole timeline of this is now starting to get a little tricky,
right?
Because if that extension is if that deadline is extended to June 30th, that means Britain may have a vote in the UK's parliamentary elections.
And that makes a legitimate difference, because that's something that if they do get away from the union, now they're affecting the future of said union. I mean, this is, to me, the time to get it done. So go ahead and get it done. Peaceful protests continue in Algeria as citizens demand that all allies of the former president resign and the state form a true democracy. Protests originally started over the former president Abdelaziz Bouteflika running for a fifth time for office. Bouteflika took office in 1999 after the Algerian Civil War ended, but a stroke in 2013 required him to disappear from the public eye. He decided to once again run for president, but his popularity among his staff and allies diminished. Earlier in the week, Bouteflika stepped down from his post. Now protesters are demanding that a true democracy be put in place.
Yeah, so this is a big deal for Algeria, Noah, as these protesters, they've been in the streets for over a month now, you know, trying to make their country a democracy, and it looks like it could go that way. Yeah,
well, first and foremost, it makes you thankful for what we have in America, because we can vote, we can decide who we want to be running our country, but if I'm people in Algeria, why wouldn't I want someone with the last name so on fleek as Bouteflika to be my president, my ruler?
Yes, I mean, at this point, though, I feel like anybody who's been in office for a long time, I feel like you automatically become unpopular. I mean, we see that in America when presidents have 2 terms.
We see that in anything. It's not just presidency, it's literally whatever. If you're super successful, you're going to get hate, right? Let me look at Twitter. Twitter's a hateful place.
Twitter is a hateful place, but you know, Bouteflika, he is, a lot of people don't like him because he seems to be like a business tycoon, but he's stepped down, so we'll have to see whether his allies stay in power or not. But moving on, the cause behind the crash of a Boeing 737 airliners remains a mystery following the release of a new report this week. On Thursday, investigators released a report stating that the pilots of Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302 followed all safety procedures and performed the actions recommended by Boeing's emergency checklist to the letter. This crash was the second crash of a Boeing 737 MAX within the last 6 months, and it prompted the U.S. Federal Aviation Authority to ground all 737 MAX airplanes. The full report into the crash will be released soon, although a specific date has yet to be announced.
I mean, this is important. If I'm the company, I'm shutting down all operations until this is figured out, because this can't happen. I mean, plain and simple, this cannot happen.
Plain and simple. I know I would not want to be on
I'm glad that she got that.
I know. I know I would not want to be on a 737 plane right now.
Yeah.
I don't want to risk it. They don't know what happened. I agree that they should ground all those planes. Also, they're slowing production on 737
No,
planes.
it should be done until everything is finished.
I also agree with that. They're only slowing, if you look at the numbers, they're only slowing production by 10 planes a month. They usually make 52 planes a month. Now they're going to make 42.
Oh, wow. You did your homework.
I did do my homework on this because I fly pretty frequently, and my family flies pretty frequently, and you know, you don't really ever know what plane you're on. It's not like I'm looking at my flight itinerary and I see, oh, I'm on a 737 plane. Nobody ever looks at that.
I do, but okay, whatever you say. Former Vice President Joe Biden found himself in hot water this week after numerous women, including former Nevada state lawmaker Lucy Flores, accused him of inappropriate touching. Flores released a statement that last Friday saying Biden touched her shoulders and kissed the back of her head during a campaign event in 2014. Now, this is not the first time that Delaware's former senator has faced allegations of this kind. Former congressional aide Amy Lapis has come forward alleging that Biden rubbed his nose, or rather her nose, with his nose at a fundraiser in 2009. In response, Joe Biden released a video message in which he vowed to be more mindful of people's personal space in the future. Yet yesterday, in his first public appearance since the allegation, he joked about having permission to touch and hug people. He also made it clear that when talking to reporters, he will not apologize for any of his intentions, even saying,
"I'm sorry I didn't understand more. I'm not sorry for any of my intentions. I'm not sorry for anything that I have ever done. I've never been disrespectful intentionally to a man or a woman. That's not the reputation I had since I was in high school, for God's sake."
So now I know we talked a little bit about his personal apology message earlier, and I was saying it was just extremely uncomfortable to watch. I feel like anytime you have to apologize for the way you touch somebody, there's really no way to not make that apology extremely uncomfortable and awkward.
Sure. I just think that there are a lot of layers to this, and President Trump took that apology video and he went right on the prowl, created a meme out of it, which in 2019 I guess is cool that our president can just create a meme out of someone else's pain.
Yeah, that was also extremely inappropriate. I was just informed of that video this morning and I watched it. You can see it on President Trump's Twitter.
Still up there.
It's still up. And my question is, what is he doing with his time that he took the time to sit in his office and create this video with Joe Biden?
What software do you think he used?
I mean, if you look at it, you can only think like iMovie or something like that, but why is he taking the time to sit in his office and edit a video like that when, you know, there's a national emergency right now at the border?
I'm not the president. I can't answer that question. Maybe one day I'll be the president. Who knows?
Maybe one day. Noah for 2026.
No,
yeah?
I don't do math.
But another big story from the week, Brian Reaney is facing up to 8 years in prison for falsely claiming to be a missing boy. On Wednesday, Reaney claimed to be Timothy Pitson after learning about the case in a 2020 episode. The real Pitson and his mother went on a trip in 2011 that ended when the mother was found dead in a hotel room with a suicide note saying that Timothy was with people who loved him. 11 years after Pitson's disappearance, Reaney was discovered to be an imposter when officials ran a DNA test. He went to court on Friday and is currently being held without bond. Reaney will have another hearing next Tuesday.
Crazy story. I mean, actually crazy story. I don't understand how someone could say, yeah, I'm that person, and think no one's going to find that out.
Yeah.
It's not like DNA testing exists.
Right. It's an extremely heartbreaking story, too. I saw an interview with the grandmother earlier this week before it came out that the child wasn't Timothy Pitson. And, you know, in her interview, she was saying that she was hopeful and that she was praying that it was her grandson and that she was trying to be realistic, but she was hoping that she was going to be reunited with her grandson.
I mean,
after all this time.
Of course. Can you imagine if this was someone in your family who you hadn't seen in, what, over a decade, and now someone comes to the forefront? Of course you're going to feel like, hey, any glimmer of hope is exactly what I need right now.
I would be outraged at this young man for even lying about this in the first place.
I'd say the
I'd be
general
outraged. I
public
hope that
is.
he is in jail for a very long time.
I'm sure he will be. Locally, the Carrier Dome turf is actually being replaced with a dirt track for the annual Monster Jam competition. The show includes 11 6-ton trucks competing in stunt contests and races. The event typically attracts more than 30,000 people to the Syracuse campus, and tickets are $20. For an extra 15, people can actually buy pit party tickets, which get you a closer look at the trucks and a chance to receive autographs from drivers. If you really want to get that signature, you can pay a little extra for early access, which actually starts at 1:30.
All right, so have you ever been to Monster Jam?
I have not. I was more into Disney princesses.
Because I was telling Noah before that I've actually grew up going to Monster Jam in my hometown, and it's a time. It's a fun experience.
What do you do? You just watch trucks?
You do. You know, it seems kind of lame. I don't know why it would be so entertaining to watch this, but you get really into it. You choose a truck driver to rally behind. You choose a driver to rally behind. So,
who was your favorite driver?
Well, when I was growing up, Gravedigger was the
Digger,
thing.
okay.
It was Gravedigger because the thing was that like he was supposed to be like a ghost driver, and that was the whole. That's him right there. Yeah, that's him. That's the Gravedigger. I know it's so lame that I'm so excited about it, but people really get excited about it. You rally behind a driver. You want to see them win. It's a competition to see which truck can make it through the whole experience.
So you're gonna go?
I'm not going to go.
Okay, you should go.
I've grown out of that.
You should go, and I'll be at home watching Cinderella. Coming up after the break, we'll have Landon Wexler here in studio for the first Cuse Can event of the day.
Stay with us.
Leaving hot coals improperly extinguished can cause a wildfire.
Hey guys, it's Smokey!
It looks as if Smokey is going to use the drown, stir, drown, and feel technique. After the first drown, a good start. Next, another drink. And finally, a close feel.
Is it cool? Okay. Yeah.
Hey, Smokey, catch.
Oh, my bad, Smokey.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Most party fouls are pretty dumb. But if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Underage drinking and driving. The ultimate party foul.
They'll test you. Try to break your will. But however loud the loudness gets, however many cheese puffs may fly, you're the driver. The one in control. Stand firm. Just wait. And move only when you hear the click that says they're buckled in for the drive. Never give up till they buckle up.
They call me Maxie, but I prefer tripod. I was your above-average four-legged homie, and then wham-bam minivan. Some people pity me. Now that's lame. I still run, fetch, and swim. And the ladies love me. I'm the ultimate wingman. Just don't ask me to high five.
Welcome back to Juice and Java. Listen, it's a huge day on campus today. Performers Tiffany Haddish, Pusha T, and Flip Dinero will be performing in Goldston Auditorium. This is fun. This is a fun day.
Yeah, a lot of really cool people. Ooh. It's a highly anticipated event called Cuse Can. It starts with us. Is here, and our morning correspondent Landon Wexler is in studio this morning for details on the controversy behind all of this.
Absolutely, guys. Good morning. Now, I was in front of Shine Student Center. I'm now here because we made some adjustments. However, so in the meantime, we have in 3 hours from now, 1:45 at 1:15, Tiffany Haddish will be performing inside the Goldstein Auditorium. Now, Tiffany, when she performs, this is the kind of the kickoff to the day, and then later on, Flip the Narrow and Pusha T will be performing. Now, this event came together because at the SU Student Association, University Union, and the National Panhellenics Council came together to make sure, as an initiative to bring the community together with music and comedy. Now, in between these performances, there are panels inside Watson Theater where they're discussing local issues and diversity on campus. Now, this event has a little bit of controversy behind it, and it's not just the price tag. I'm sorry, it comes with costs that aren't just with the $250,000 price tag. SA presidential and vice presidential candidates, Kaylee, Vic, and Grant Golden say the approach was done in a way that contradicts the mission that SA says they were on, putting on Cuse Can.
It was made in a way that shut out a lot of campus, doesn't serve as a diversity event, and is really hurting organizations like the Resident Hall Association and ASU, which are trying to hold diversity-related events on that same day. Both have been negatively impacted. They've also invited a homophobe, so there are a lot of issues with Cuse Can.
In the town.
SA funded it entirely out of rollover, and it wasn't really discussed in coordination with SA Cabinet or SA Assembly.
Yeah, I can say that it's a $250,000 event. We're spending $250,000 on it, and so to give some background, the idea of it would be that there would be a concert, there'd be panels, and it would bring the community together and we'd raise money for the Syracuse community. The issue is that out of a $250,000 event, we expect maybe to make 1/10 of that in donations, which in my opinion at that point, why don't we save $200,000, double the donations, and just give it straight to the community? That's not what they're doing. Another issue is that in the 5-page UU press release, they didn't mention the panels, which are the sections of diversity. Where we're trying to talk about diversity and inclusion on campus. Furthermore, they've invited Pusha T, who's made a lot of homophobic comments. And as two people of the queer community, we're trying to represent them, as well as others who feel like they've really been shut out of the conversation on this issue.
Now, regardless, the day still continues, and to make the most out of it, there are some positives coming out of the day. Before the Tiffany Haddish event begins, there's an opportunity for donors to come in and donate their gently used or new backpacks to help the a children's center around the area. So there is some positive. However, with later today, the event, like I said, Tiffany Haddish will be performing at 1:15 p.m. in Goldstein Auditorium. 4:15 in Watson Theater, there's a panel, and then at 5:15 there's another panel, and then Pusha T and Flip the Narrow will be performing inside Goldstein Auditorium later tonight at 8:30. Reporting in studio, I'm Landon Wexler.
All right, thanks, Landon. And coming up on Juice and Java, former host Morgan Trau tells us all about the 2 Lockerbie scholars who will be studying at SU this fall.
We'll be right back.
It inspires passionate debate. It's worn like a badge of honor with good reason, because it means love and devotion for one's country. But what really makes up this country of ours? It's the people. To love America is to love all Americans. This year, patriotism shouldn't just be about pride of country. It should be about love. Love beyond age, sexuality, disability, race, religion, and other labels. Because love has no labels.
Everybody has a dream. Mine was to see the ocean. And with a little help, I made it.
Did you hear about the pony with a sore throat? He was a little horse. Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding. Why couldn't the why was the basketball court all wet? Why? Because the players kept dribbling all over it. Where did cats go on vacation? New York.
Welcome back to Juice and Java. Now, aside from all the Brexit talk that we already went through on the show, we do have some extra news from across the pond, which is always a little special, right?
Yes, that's right. Our former Juice and Java host Morgan Trau has been studying abroad in London for the semester, but is back with us this morning with an update from her trip to Lockerbie, Scotland, where she got to know 2 residents who will be studying at SU next fall.
Because I wanted to be a Syracuse scholar for quite a while. Tried to say to my mother, can I go to Syracuse? And Mum went, no, you're not living in America. I managed to convince her now. Well, tough at this point.
Brody Chambers and Rowan Chisholm are the 2 students from Lockerbie, Scotland, selected to study abroad at Syracuse University for the 2019-2020 academic year.
Like that, and I just wanted the experience to go to America. Just go see what the education system is over there, see how it'll fit in, experience new things.
They won the prestigious Lockerbie Scholarship that is meant to represent the 11 individuals who died on ground from the terrorist attack on Pan Am Flight 103, which also killed 35 SU students along with 224 others.
Having 2 scholars go over each year and just brings 2, a state and a school together closer.
Despite feeling grateful for the chance to study in the United States, Brody says he will always remember the cost.
The Syracuse Lockerbie Scholarship wouldn't happen if the flight didn't happen, so yeah. But it's a tragic loss still.
Even though the loss is still difficult for the community, Brody says the Syracuse students who visited this past weekend made him feel a lot more comfortable.
The people that I've met today and last night, great. Great people, so.
Syracuse University is over 3,000 miles from Lockerbie, but the boys are not worried about being homesick because they have each other.
There's always that sort of Scottish connection, that sort of local connection that you have, so you're not always going to be sort of on your own. You're the one Lockerbie lad or lass that's in America by themselves. There's 2 of you, so you can bounce off of each other and sort of support each other through the entire thing.
Lockerbie boys are really excited to come, but Brody's a little worried about one last thing.
The size of the food's probably double what it's meant to be here, but I feel like that's a little bit of a wife's tale.
From Lockerbie, Scotland, Morgan Trau, CitrusTV News.
Really awesome story there. And coming up, Juice and Java correspondent Ryan Baker is here to tell us all we need to know about Trump's threat to close the U.S.-Mexican border.
Keep it here.
This is the story of a boy who didn't talk for a long time. The boy liked things to always be the same. Any changes would scare and upset him. The unknown was an unfriendly place. The boy was very sensitive to lights and sounds. So he built secret hiding places where they couldn't get in. The boy didn't like looking people in the eye. He wasn't trying to be mean, it just made him feel uncomfortable. Sometimes he would flap his arms again and again.
One day I found out I have something called autism. My family got me help. Slowly, I found my voice and learned all the ways I could live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.
Visited the U.S.-Mexican border after a week of tension between the countries.
Yeah, certainly a long week for President Trump. Juice and Java correspondent Ryan Baker is here in studio for more on this story, plus some campus reaction. Should be interesting.
Thanks, guys. President Trump announced on Thursday that he was giving Mexico 1 year to stop illegal immigrants from crossing the U.S. border. He said if Mexico did not succeed in doing this in exactly 1 year, he would begin imposing tariffs on imported cars and eventually shut down the border entirely. This could have detrimental effects to our trade, especially the importation of products such as avocados and tequila. I talked to some students on campus about their reactions to the impacts of these threats made to Mexico by the president.
There's a shortage in avocados and tequila. Already I'm like so against that. So if that happens, I'll be very upset, and I know a lot of girls like me will be upset as well.
Immigration situation is, of course, not the emergency that the president often says that it is.
I don't care about the avocados. I think that's kind of a secondary factor in what's going on.
President Trump has since backed down from taking these actions against Mexico, but he did make a trip to the border yesterday to take a picture in front of the wall, quote-unquote, new wall being built. However, the border wall that the president stood in front of was actually just an upgraded version of the fencing that already existed. The plan for these upgrades began under the Obama administration and received funding during President Trump's first year in office. Trump administration did not begin building any new portions of the fencing or walls at the U.S.-Mexico border, and only time will tell to see if they actually do. Back to you guys.
All right, thanks so much, Ryan. Now, coming up, we'll talk about some of the craziest stories in the news this week.
Oh, yeah, this is always fun. Stay tuned.
I see you mobbing over her. Let's go. Let's mob. Let's crawl. Let's crawl. Let's crawl. Hey, yo, we mobbing. Come on, girl. Let's crawl. Hey, yo, let's crawl. Hey, yo, let's crawl. Hey, let's crawl. Hey, yo, let's crawl.
Here we go. We're gonna go out there in the rain. You're gonna get wet. All right, here we go. Okay, quick. Oh yeah, yes. So much fun. Mwah. We're getting so wet.
Welcome back to Juice at Java. Now, we saw a number of political stories still in the spotlight this week, so now let's take a look at some of the crazy stories that you may have missed.
Yeah, let's get a little weird right now, because if you check out what we're looking at right here, there was a man caught on camera stealing a chainsaw from a store, a hardware store in Fresno, California. Here's how he did it. Put it in his pants and hid it with his jacket. I mean, come on. He then drove off in a silver Ram pickup truck and got away. I mean, look, as a man myself, and to all those other men out there, the last place you want a chainsaw is anywhere near inside your pants. I mean, that's all I'm gonna say, because I can't speak for you, but you do not want a chainsaw inside your pants. You don't know what could happen if that were to be the case.
I mean, my mouth dropped watching that video. I purposely waited to watch that video on air because I didn't really know what to expect. But
did it live up to expectations?
That exceeded
expectations.
That exceeded expectations. That is absurd.
It is.
Luckily, nothing crazy happened. But another crazy story: on Tuesday, a highway had to be shut down in Lincoln, California after dozens of goats flooded the roads. Luckily, the California Highway Patrol responded and was able to herd the goats off the road with the help of a herding dog. The goats were being used to trim the grass near the highway when they escaped through a broken gate. So Noah, what would you do if you were driving down the highway and all of a sudden there are just a bunch of goats out of nowhere?
I mean, I think that's a good omen. That means that highway is, in fact, the greatest of all time. No doubt in my mind. Although 2 stores in California, what's going on? Is this a new Florida?
I'm so pumped that these stories are not from Florida, because every time we do this segment, I get so sore that it's going to be about Florida. But that's all the time we have for you this morning. Make sure to follow CitrusTV on Twitter @CitrusTV News and check out our website. I'm Rebekah Castor.
And I'm Noah Eagle. We'll see you soon, guys.